day, viewers. Walter here, aka Pwalpar. This week I've been trying to learn how to produce videos using AI, and it's quite complicated. But I'm going to piece it together one little piece at a time. I might have to spend a week creating this first video, and I'm going about it my own particular way. I don't know how other people do it, but I'm using various AI programs on the computer on the internet to piece together one of my stories. I dug back in my files and found one of my stories. I didn't feel like writing a whole new one right now, but I found one of my stories well worth telling again. But the first part of this video, we're going to just be showing some of the stuff I make tinkering around with AI, and then when I get to telling this story, it will be in AI as well. The problem is, I uploaded a picture of myself so Google would know what I look like, but when it recreates me in AI, I look like a different person entirely, but it's what it thinks I look like. And my voice is not in this story because I created the voice with AI, but it is my story. I wrote it and pasted it right in this program, so even though you hear me telling the story, you might even see my picture occasionally, it's not my voice. But it comes out considerably better in one way using the AI voice, because I don't hem and stutter. I mean, I write in perfect English. I don't speak in perfect English. But yet this AI character does. He wrote it. He's speaking to you just in the term of the way I wrote it. Anyway, I think you might get a kick out of this story if you haven't heard it before. If you do, I appreciate you listening again, and let's just see what I'm going to learn. I'm learning this process of AI as I actually produce the video. I'm using Corel Video Studio, and I don't want to sound too drawn out in today's vlog. I don't want to bore you to death, but bear with me here, and somewhere in this video we're going to get to telling my story, and producing it is an AI video glued right onto the end of this video. Thank y'all for tuning in. It's Pwalpar. We're going to move on to the next process of this video. I submitted this picture, and here's what they came back with. It's dubbed to me, looking this way. This is from a picture of me sitting in the living room with the kitchen in the background. Now let me hop right around here and show you what it thinks I sound like.
Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about something a little different. I remember back in the day working on the railroad. It was a different world.
Now that we got our first laugh over with, let's move on to the next process here. Most of my viewers know Gene Gnome. He's been my sidekick here on YouTube ever since I started videoing trains. Well, it turns out the computer don't know what he looks like either. He looks more like one of these characters.
I bet Pwalpar is making a video of this. I will bet Pwalpar is making a video of this.
Here I'll quickly show you a few versions of what it thought I looked like while I was trying to figure out how to activate the story. I've now turned the story over to producing it myself with my Corel Video Studio. So here we go. I'm going to try to tell my story now. We'll see just what I can come up with to stick in this video. I was able to produce 5 or 6 seconds of the character actually mouthing the words of my speech. But I ain't figured that part out yet. So I'm going to switch over to ways I've seen other AI videos produced here on YouTube and come a little close anyway.
Good day, viewers. My name is Walter Parks, but I am better known online as Pwalpar. I wrote this story when I was 71. I am now 78 years old, and I wish to retell the story, or at least share some walking memories from my younger years of life. I often find it difficult to do any great amount of walking. I usually carry a walking stick. A walk to the mailbox and back can make me tired, and a trip to the store to shop requires my walking cane. when in a big place like Walmart or many grocery stores, I couldn't make it far without the aid of one of those battery-powered carts. This was not always the case. I have accumulated some memories one is not likely to forget, and when trouble arose while walking.
From the age of 4 or 5, I was walking around quite unsupervised on the dirt roads of a rural sawmill community in rural Telfair County's McRae, Georgia, and nearly always was barefoot. I recall playing in the muddy ditches with my 2 brothers. We indulged in such fun activities and digging up crawdads and just wading in the mud so it could squish up between our toes and going snake hunting. I have shared some of my memorable snake stories with y'all before. It didn't always end well. We would walk in the woods for hours or run up and down the dirt roads playing with such exciting toys, such as putting a wire through an old oil filter and rolling it down the road, or rolling a barrel hoop or old car tire. Let's not forget shooting a homemade slingshot and playing with all the local dogs in our community. When we lived there, we had to ride a school bus to get to school. Those days didn't last because we had to leave our peaceful but poor existence in Georgia to go live with our father and stepmother in sunny Brevard County's Oh Golly, Florida. There we dressed more like city kids, and they made us wear shoes, something quite advisable in Florida. Down there they got the dreaded creeping eruption and sand spurs. Believe me, you don't want to ever get creeping eruption. You had to go to the doctor and get that stuff frozen to cure it. If you don't believe there is such a thing, Google it. Here's what Google says about it. Creeping eruption is a skin infection caused by hookworms. The infection is also called cutaneous larvae migrans, or sandworm disease. Creeping eruption causes severe itching, blisters, and a red, growing, winding rash. The infection usually appears on areas of the body that have been exposed to the contaminated ground. And more than once I got caught in a sand spur-infested area, resulting in a large dose of pain. Believe me, you don't want to deal with sand spurs. I digress. I was talking about walking. In Florida, we had to walk to school, with the exception of 3 years in junior high when I rode a bus. I had to walk about over 2 miles to get to the elementary school, and just going and coming from school was often an adventure. We often varied our routes to go and come. I recall one damp morning walking down a street somewhat wooded with palmetto bushes. I detected something moving in the bushes. I and my curious nature just had to investigate. I pulled back some palm branches only to be confronted with a rather irritated polecat, aka a skunk. My brother, hearing my screams, came to see what the matter was, but he couldn't get too close to me as I suddenly possessed a very undesirable odor about my person. In polite terms, I stunk. He went on to school and I went home. Never having had to deal with this problem before, I didn't know what to do.
My parents were both at work. I took several baths and scrubbed my skin about raw and threw my clothes out in the trash can. Now that I think about it, I'm sure the garbage man later really appreciated my contribution to his collection. Later, my stepmother had me wash with ketchup, and it helped to cut the smell. Then it's just a matter of washing off the ketchup. The smell was in my room for weeks. Sometimes a walking occurrence can turn into a running experience, times when your very life is in danger and your only option is to tuck tail and run. Hit the road. Make a mad dash. Scram, Sam! I ran. Once, I was walking home from elementary school, and I decided I could save considerable time and conserve my energy by taking a shortcut across a large property that had a 4-foot chain-link fence around it. I easily hopped over it and started across the area to reach the other side. When I got about 100 feet into the property, with a little more than another 100 feet to go, I looked to my left to see 2 very large and angry-looking Doberman pinschers coming my direction post-haste. I showed them my backside as I dashed for and just barely cleared the fence, with them snapping at my heels. You might deduce I never took that shortcut again. On Sundays, we attended St. John's Episcopal Church on Young Street. We were acolytes, so we had to be there. On one particular Sunday, we were walking together on Young Street in the direction of U.S. Highway number 1. For no particular reason other than just the usual competitive nature among ourselves, we were throwing oranges. We snitched off some local trees. My brother tossed one, and I said, "I can throw farther than that." And I promptly gave one a heave in the direction of U.S. Highway 1, and the orange went farther than I expected and sailed all the way into the middle of Highway 1 and smashed on the windshield of a passing car. The driver seemed unusually perturbed and screeched his brakes, spun the car around, and headed down Young Street directly at us. I deduced he wasn't too happy about it, and that reasoning with him would be futile. So we ran and ran some more for at least a mile through the orange grove in a zigzag pattern so that he was less likely to catch us when we emerged on the next block. All the while, we could hear him squealing tires around the streets. We eluded him, and weeks after, we took a different route to the church. There was a time I was chased out of a pasture by a bull, and also a time a mother cow came after me for getting near her calf. She acted madder than that bull. You guessed it, I ran. Once, while walking, I had to climb a tree to escape a wild boar. It should be noted here, just in case it ever happens to you, find a tree. You can't outrun a wild boar. I once tripped over a large alligator and had to run.
I hear that if you're walking and are chased by a bear, it's best to have someone along with you. You can't outrun a bear either, but you may be able to outrun the individual you're walking with. I share that tidbit as well. When you get my age, the running days are over, and that is the main reason some old men carry a walking stick, so he can use it as a weapon. Mentioning that reminds me of something. I was watching the news just the other day, and some young hoodlum tried to attack and beat up
a 75-year-old man who was walking. The old man was a retired boxer and promptly beat the hell out of the hoodlum. He had to be hospitalized.
You should not have underestimated me.
I once had to run from a madman with a large machete. Walking can result in trouble.
My advice is to tote a stick or wear your running shoes. Never throw oranges and never ever climb inside a chain-link fenced area.
It might not be a bad idea either for you to keep an eye out for alligators, mad dogs, and skunks. I do hope you enjoyed my story. Viewers, if you've watched my video this far along, I'll greatly appreciate it. I've spent 3-4 days producing this AI video, but since it's the first time I've made one, it's turned out to be quite a project. I do appreciate any comments you'd care to make or any suggestions. You know, everything I'm learning here, I'm just figuring it out how to do it myself. I had nobody to show me how. Anyway, your comments are most welcome here, and I do hope everybody has a great weekend.
And that, my friends, is how the rabbit outsmarted the fox.